We are. I think we're going. We're going. Go.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Hearing Things with Julie and Brad. We are in Maine today, and we are super psyched that we were able to record in person for, I think, the first time, right?
Yes.
I don't think we've done this yet. So here we are. So we have been having a fabulous day in Maine, and we wanted to talk a little bit about the challenges of being in a car for extended periods of time with lots of people.
Yeah.
So for me, I've done most of the driving today, and Brad has been sitting to my right, and my right ear is the worst of the two. They're both pretty bad, but relatively worse. And you've been in the passenger seat.
Yes.
So the challenges come up in that my dominant ear is my left, so I can't hear on this side very well, and I can't turn and lip read him if he's talking, and I can't see the people in the back seat. So the hearing for me coming from the back seat is also challenging because I'm not getting the clarity of the speech. So it's been interesting to kind of experience two perspectives of being in a car and traveling. So that's kind of what I'm going through as this day has gone on, and I'm a little tired. I know our day isn't over yet, but I'm definitely a little fatigued from all that active listening in the car.
Especially
what about you?
You're driving too, right? So you should be paying attention to the road as
Exactly.
well, which takes attention and energy.
A lot of energy.
Yeah, it's hard. It's in the front. You think it will be easier because all of our ears are out here and behind us, and so the people behind us, we should be better to be here, but it doesn't work that way because of like the headrests and all that stuff. So what I usually end up doing is like I lean back and kind of like listen to people that way. Driving, I have the same thing. It's like I like instinctively look at someone's mouth when they're talking, and so you don't want to continue to do that when you're driving.
Right now, even though we're filming right here, it's the same kind of thing. I think the other thing to consider when you're in the car with someone, at least for me, with my hearing loss, is the sound of the ambient noises. Like if there's sand on the highway, the sound that the tires make.
Oh yeah.
The traffic noises outside, especially on the highway when it's that much louder.
Yeah.
Engine noises, air conditioning. If you have the radio on, even at a lower volume, that really becomes a distraction. What about you? Do you experience
absolutely.
other things that jump out more than others in terms of sound?
The different paves of the pavement, right? If they're tearing up the pavement and you get the groove things, they have the signs that say like motorcycles use caution, but it's so much louder for me because it's not the smooth thing, and I can actually hear the difference between like old pavement and newer pavement. Wow. It's like smoother. Really? I don't know how much of it is like hearing or feeling.
I was going to ask you, is it really like
I think it's more of a feeling because I'm really attuned to that because sound is more than just ear.
Sure.
Here, you feel there's a tactile component to it. So I hear that a lot. It was funny driving up. We took Venus's convertible, and I've never been in a convertible before.
Really? Before today?
Never. Yeah. And
How'd that go?
It was loud, but not as loud as I thought. And I think it gets louder when more traffic, right? Because the cars have the sounds bouncing off the cars coming back at me, and so it was weird. It was really weird. And then the Mack truck came by, and I was like. Not only because there was nothing there, but it was loud.
Sure.
So it wasn't too bad. I mean, Tom was driving, so like I was always like looking at him when he was doing it, and I noticed that like I was reading kind of his lips, just even like to the side, because it's just something I do instinctively. But the car overall is challenging.
Convertibles are different too. We own a convertible as well, and I find when I drive, the noise of the air kind of rushing through the microphones is really unnerving. So I usually have the radio like way louder than it should be to drown that out and help me concentrate. But if I have a passenger in the car in the convertible, sing along to whatever's on the radio because there's not a lot of conversation happening. I can't hear a thing.
Even on the highway, it's worse, right? Because
the highway's
higher,
definitely worse.
you're going faster. But even the side roads, because you hear so much more without the car blocking out the noise. So it's tough to have conversations in the car.
In the car, for sure.
Yeah, just no matter what.
So that's something new to think about if you're ever in the car with either of us. Yeah. And just reminding everyone in a listening audience and viewing audience that we always talk about our experiences as people with hearing loss. It's not a grand statement that applies to everyone with hearing loss. Very individual, but we think it's important to show those perspectives and share information about what we go through and kind of raise your awareness as well. So something that's super important to Brad and I is always putting person first over disability. So we've been doing a little book recommendation series. And I usually go first. I'm going to have you go first today. What book are you thinking about to recommend to the folks?
So I'll probably go with The Art of Happiness by the Dalia Lama.
Yeah.
It's the first time. Now the book is like 30 years old at this point. But it's the first time I really saw the possibility of East meets West, because the book is co-authored by a neurosurgeon. And parts
I did not know that.
Cutler, Howard Cutler, I think his name. I don't have it with me, but they did studies about, like, they did brain imaging of Buddhist monks during meditation, and it's just fascinating where, like, you have the almost mystical kind of Eastern philosophy married to, like, Western neuroscience and backing up what the meditators are claiming. So it's fascinating.
With meditation, just a quick clarification question, it actually changes the neural pathways of the brain, right?
Yeah.
So they look at scans over time. That's amazing.
So I think the book does go into that as well. It really does. There is, like, a physiological change in the brain during meditation. It's fascinating. It lowers your blood pressure. There's so much benefits to it. And it's not just Buddhism either, right? Because you have, I've heard of some Christian religions benefiting, speaking the benefits of meditation. So it's just all around good.
Let's check that out. Yeah, always a good recommendation.
Yes, yeah. What do you got?
So I just finished Kristin Hanna's book, The Women, which came out fairly recently. And it takes place in the Vietnam War, and it really focuses on the female nurses in Vietnam and the reaction to them when they came home. And we know this terrible treatment of the soldiers coming back. But for the women, it talks about how they were not recognized at all. I mean, they were told at the VA there were no women in Vietnam. And that triggered my thoughts about...
Of course not. Why would women be there?
Why would they be there? Like, no sense. So after reading that book, I was like, I want to dive into the Vietnam era a little bit more, because I don't remember it. I was young. I was, born in 1974, but I don't remember that time period.
Right.
So I picked up a book that I read years and years ago called The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a first-hand account of some Vietnam American soldiers that were there, and kind of their accounts of what happened. It was the first-hand account. It was really, I'm looking forward to rereading that again and lining that up with some of the information from the women. So
I think you just cheated. You had 2 suggestions.
No, but the first one was a reference to the suggestion I'm making. So yeah, no, not today.
Yeah, no. It's funny you mentioned that, because on the desk at the library on Thursday, someone was talking about that.
Oh, really?
How there's very little representation of women in war.
Very little, even in the what do you call that thing? The reference at the end of the book.
Acknowledgement?
Citations.
Citations.
Of the book,
There we go.
There was only 1 or 2 about women's experience. So maybe that would be the next place I go. So I always like to read a book, get inspired by that, and then research the nonfiction end of it. It's kind of cool.
Cool.
Well, that's it for now. That's it for driving in the car. We're having a great day in Maine. We're going to go back out again. Have some more car experiences now that we've had a little rest.
Sounds good.
Off we go. So, as always, comment, email us, let us know your thoughts, questions, problems, things you'd like us to talk about, questions you have. Well, that's it. Okay. See you next time.